Hi, I'm Paloma Fotley. I'm an engineering intern with Make Magazine, and today I'm coming to show you a really cool new series that we have called Maker Connections. This is our first Maker Connections, and I'm so excited to have EepyBird with us. You can participate online and offline. If you are watching this, you are already participating offline. You can watch through the Google Plus page, you can watch through YouTube, and you can ask questions through the Q&A button on the Google Plus page or in the YouTube comments. And I would love to see your questions come through. You can ask them before the Hangout, during the Hangout. After the Hangout might be more difficult because we do not travel through time. So you can also participate on camera. If you're a student or a teacher, you can go ahead and go to the Maker Connections website, and there's a form there so that you can participate live on air with us in our next Hangout. So if that's something that interests you and you'd like to learn more, you can go to makerconnections.com and hear more about that. I want to go ahead and, because we have such a great show today, I'm so excited, and you guys are going to have such a fun time. So I'm going to go ahead and throw right over as quickly as possible to EepyBird. We have Fritz and Steven, and you may know them from their Diet Coke and Mentos stuff, which is amazing. They have the coolest videos. If you haven't seen them, you've been under a rock, and you need to go do that right now in half an hour. So Fritz and Steven, hi, and welcome to Maker Connections.
Hi there.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us. Great to be chatting with you.
Okay, so where are you right now?
We are at the EepyBird Laboratory here in Buckfield, Maine, way out in the woods of Maine.
Awesome. And you still have internet connection, so that works out.
The internet has reached Buckfield. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
We have the storage things that
Yep.
comes and goes.
So yeah, this is the laboratory. This is where we spend all of our hours upon hours working on everything from Coke and Mentos to working with 250,000 sticky notes. We've been playing with paper airplanes, and actually we're going to show you as well some of the experiments from our new book. This just came out. It's how to build a hovercraft and 25 other cool things that you can do with everyday objects.
That's an awesome book. I can't wait to check it out. Yeah, I mean, you guys watching, definitely take a look at this thing, because there's some cool stuff in there that's really everything from simple, and it gets more complex. So there's some cool stuff in there.
Absolutely. So we're starting, actually, this is our little mini museum. So we have a lot of souvenirs from our time traveling around doing Coke and Mentos shows.
That's awesome.
This section here is sort of a history of the development of the nozzle that goes on top of our Coke and Mentos bottles. So the very first ones we did worked like this. It was just a cap with a string of Mentos hanging down on a piece of fishing line, and then when you pull this clip off, the Mentos would fall and then into the soda. But that
meant that we had to drill holes in every single Mentos.
So if you do 100 bottles per show, and it's 5 Mentos per bottle, it's 500 Mentos drilled per show.
Oh my gosh.
It got tedious.
But what we ended up moving to were these little PVC tubes, where we just have a short length of 3/4-inch PVC plumbing tube with a cap on top with different sizes and shapes of holes drilled. That sits on top of the bottle. A little pin goes across, holding the Mentos inside. Pull the pin, all the Mentos drop. The reaction happens, sends the soda flying out the mouth of the bottle.
So that meant no more drilling of Mentos, which was awesome. But these are the first generation nozzles, which means underneath there is just hot glue. That's how we glued the threads onto the tube, which works pretty well, except on a very hot day. We did a show in Denver on a very hot day, and the hot glue started to go during the show. So not just the geysers, but the whole PVC part on the top went shooting up into the air.
Oh my gosh.
So we needed an improvement from that.
And
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Over here we just have a whole bunch of souvenirs. Everything from sticky note waterfalls that we used on Good Morning America, Coke and Mentos rocket that we used for the slow motion
time warp
on Discovery Channel.
Very nice.
And of course,
Maker Faire ribbons.
There you go, prominently displayed.
Right. And this is an actual napkin sketch for when we did our second Coke and Mentos video with a bottle that set off another bottle. The original idea was on a napkin, so we saved the when we found the napkin, we saved that, put that in the museum.
Oh, that's great. I love that. I love the history of that.
We did a show in Poland.
It's a poster from our show in
Poland. Probably the best thing that has ever happened to us is that we got Coke and Mentos immortalized in a Looney Tunes comic book.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
That's Fritz and me as Daffy Duck and Porky Pig as Fritz and me. So that was like, our work is done.
There you go. Just pack up now. Can't get better than that.
So let's take you into the laboratory.
Ooh, I'm excited.
So this is where we were.
And we have all kinds of tools, and we really, when we come up here, it's a lot about playing around and just seeing what we can make happen. A lot of the times we don't know what we're going to build. We just start experimenting with something and see what we can do.
Yeah.
So over here, we're actually getting ready to come to Maker Faire in San Francisco.
So this is the layout from after we did a show in Texas a couple weeks ago. So this is all of the strings that pulled some of the stuff at the back for the finale, all organized in little bundles and groups. And we've got all the long strings are all organized here in their bag.
And this is a giant bag of Coke and Mentos nozzles. We have about 12 more bags of these down in the basement.
Oh my gosh. How many would you say you used in the normal show?
After every show, we have wet ties. We put them in this bag.
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah.
Oh, my question was, how many of those, like, the nozzles do you use in every show?
We use 108 nozzles in every show, but we get to dry them off and reuse them. So we actually have boxes. One box fits. This is an entire show right here in this bag. That's all the nozzles that we need.
Wow.
This box right here, that's one show of Coke and Mentos nozzles.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
We custom made that box out of corrugated plastic to fit one show.
Wow.
It's the whole bottom to drain so they dry, and it's actually kind of a good system.
And we have a question coming in from Sam Reynolds, actually. Sam has asked us, where do you buy all of your Coke and Mentos? You just go to the grocery store? Or?
So the folks at Mentos are nice enough to send us Mentos by the crateful.
Oh my gosh.
We literally have about several thousand
big cases of
Mentos down in the Coke and Mentos room.
Which is good because we use a lot of them.
Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the Coca-Cola is a little less portable. So the folks at Maker Faire go out and muster up from the local bottlers, get 120 bottles
for each show.
That's awesome.
Often the local bottler will donate it. We were just in Tyler, Texas, mini Maker Faire, and the local bottler there donated the Coke. So that was great.
So we've got a few more experiments. Let's see. This is some of the stuff from the book. We've got firewire that makes fireworks.
This is just steel wool and an egg beater, hand egg beater on a string, and you can make some really cool fireworks with that.
Ooh.
And then let's take you up. Let's take you up and show you the. We have a lot of random stuff, like a giant roll of bubble wrap.
Very nice.
I haven't figured out what to do with that yet.
Send your ideas.
But we're gonna find something we can do with a giant roll of bubble wrap. When we made a video with 250,000 sticky notes, folks at 3M sent us 4 million sticky notes.
Oh my gosh.
This is about 1 million that we still have left over.
This is just one box. This is full of sticky notes. The entire bookshelf structure here is all full of those boxes. And a box, there's different colors, but a box looks like that.
So we're ready to make a sequel to that video anytime now. Maybe we could go up to like 500,000 or 1 million sticky notes. That would be pretty sweet.
That would be so cool.
And we have a collection, one of the strangest collections of materials that you could ask for. We have fake ice. We have balloons, hinges, wire, nozzles for a blowtorch because we're working on something with blowtorch.
Double stick tape, miscellaneous tape, packing tape, string, thumbtacks, zip ties, matches, push pins, mouse traps. Mouse traps. So.
And really, it's about like when we have an idea, we want to be able to go, let's build it as fast as we can. And so we're grabbing materials, whether it's wood or plastic, and just trying to get as rapid a prototype as we can.
Yeah, that's the dream. Like, I think every maker just wants to have that shop where everything is at their fingertips. They can just be like, oh, I need this one thing, and I have it right here, and I don't have to go to the store.
Yeah.
So we have a shop back there with sort of standard shop tools and saws and drills and glues and epoxies and things like that. There's some lumber back over there.
Let's show you one of the experiments from the book. It's our paper airplane launcher. We have a paper airplane squadron in the works. Let's take a look at that.
So this is the basic unit. It's just a piece of lumber with a peg at the end, and this is just a rubber band string. We've tied a few rubber bands together. And then over here we have a couple of screw eyes and a pin that will hold the rubber band. So you pull it back and you put it like so. And then that holds the string there. And there's one more loop hanging up a rubber band there. And then just a standard paper airplane. We've modified it just slightly. You can see there's a little hook right here. In front of my, there you go. You can see that it's just a paper clip. We stuck that in with tape, and then that will hook onto this loop, and then it sits between these two blocks here and will hold itself right there. And then we have a launcher. So when I pull this pin out, so that'll shoot across the room. That's the basic unit.
And so there are instructions for how to build that in our How to Build a Hovercraft book. And there's also instructions for the squadron, which will launch 10 paper airplanes all at the same time. But to give you an idea of where we're trying to go with this, what we're trying to do, this is what we have in mind.
Very nice. That is insanely
giant. Will launch 48 paper airplanes. You can see it's the same basic unit. There's a peg here with a rubber band here that goes back to the airplane. For this peg will be here. This peg's got an airplane here. This peg's got an airplane here. This peg's got an airplane here. 48 all the way across. There's not 16 per unit, but
yeah, 16 per unit.
Right, 16.
And so it'll launch 48 altogether. And what we have is we run strings to all of those little pins, and turn this crank, and just like a Gatling gun, it goes in about 4 or 5 seconds.
About 4 seconds. Yeah.
It'll launch all of these paper airplanes.
I bet that's an awesome thing to see, and it wouldn't be you guys if you didn't take it to the extreme.
And each of these has that little hook in it. You can see.
So that'll be coming up soon. As soon as we're ready, we'll share that with you guys.
Okay, so what inspired you guys to do what you do?
That's a great question. We're both really curious about how everyday objects can do crazy things. I started out as a juggler. I had about 20 years working as a professional juggler. And just being curious about whether it's bouncing a ball off a table or looking at a coat hanger, a wire coat hanger, and going, can I climb through the inside of a coat hanger? I was always fascinated by those kinds of questions.
Both of us, we met studying clown here in Maine at a really amazing school for clowning and physical theater. And I still think of almost all the pieces that we do as essentially clown pieces. And we don't have the standard clown makeup and drag that you wear as a traditional clown, but really they're clown pieces. And we really work on using ordinary objects because that makes the pieces that we do more approachable, I think, for the audience. And it's more fun to find something amazing that's right under your nose than to go out and find some exotic chemical or exotic device that does something. One of the criticisms I remember reading about magicians is, you show me something that looks like something I've never seen before, and then it behaves like something I've never seen before. Who cares? What we want to do is take things you have seen before and find out what's hidden inside them to make really cool things with ordinary paper and lumber and rubber bands, or Coke and Mentos or whatever, and find what's really there, because there's a hidden world of cool stuff right in the worlds we live in. We have to work in that space.
I can actually show you another example with sticky notes.
Okay, and I want to thank Carly for that question. She's from Healdsburg Charter School, so thank you so much for sending that question in, Carly.
Hi, Carly.
We go looking for things that seem interesting. It seemed like they have a potential to do something that they're not built to do, but something that would be really fun. So we went down to the local office supply store and got a bunch of these zigzag pads of sticky notes made for pop-up dispensers. And we didn't know if we'd find anything, but they just seemed cool. And
so that was enough to mean we bought a bunch of them.
Yeah, yeah. We came home with a bunch of these, and we're like, okay, it should flow like a slinky, but you can see it sticks, it catches. And now we spent like days trying to, we made little puppets, we put little eyeballs on them so they could like look around, and made sculptures. We tried anything we could think of.
They make great puppet legs too, you can sort of walk around.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
So first things we just took this and played with it. What are the thousands of different things we can make it do?
Anything we could think of.
And anything good, we go, remember that? That was kind of fun. Remember that? That was kind of fun.
And we kept
coming back
to that. Well, after literally 3 whole days, 12 hours a day, 3 days, just banging our heads against this, what can we do? Finally occurred to us to try this. Rotate it 90 degrees.
Wow.
It's a waterfall. And that was that moment of discovery. We're like,
So once we saw that, we're like, okay, we can work with that.
Yeah.
We don't know what we'll do with it, but there's something there to work with.
And so we kept building, trying to build larger and larger waterfalls. And that led us to this.
That looks so cool. Oh my gosh.
It's all with one. It's just that there's lots of them put together with color coordinated.
Wow, that looks great.
So that's 48 pads.
Right.
And we kept pushing for more and more and more, going from just 1 pad to 48 pads on up to 250,000
for the video
for the video that we made.
But it was all based on this one concept here that then turned into this unit. We had a lot of units like this, and then eventually we just blew it up and scaled it up for the final video with all the different variations that we came up with over the playtime.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we have another question from Sam, and he says, how long does it take to set up when you're doing something like this, or set up for a show?
Yeah.
It all depends. In the beginning, whatever you're doing takes a long time. When we set up for the first Coke and Mentos, the video that we did, that was the first time we'd ever set up more than like 10 or 20 bottles. And that took 2 days at least.
Yeah.
It took multiple days of setting stuff up and being out there and coming back the next day. But now when we set up for a show, we've got the nozzles that make things easier. We don't have to drill those anymore. We can set up really quickly. We've got a system down. We can now set up in about 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
For a show.
And so 2.5 hours to set up for about 2.5 minutes of sending soda flying into the air. But one of the things that we found is that a lot of people aren't willing to put in that kind of time. They aren't patient enough to say, they'll go, oh, if it's going to take more than a half an hour, that's not worth it. We spent days setting up for that first video because we thought it would be worth it. We thought, if we're patient enough, if we're persistent enough, we can do something nobody's ever done before.
That's really a secret weapon. If you want to do something really cool, if you have time, that's a really huge resource. That's the one thing we put the most into that anybody can put into their project and get something really cool. Just keep putting the time into it, and it takes a lot of patience and persistence. But if you just have that, you'll end up with something like this, and once you see this, then you'll know, well, keep setting up, keep doing more. When we did the first 5 or 10 Coke and Mentos bottles, we knew we needed to do more, and we were just willing to put in the time to do it. But really, that's not, whatever you're working on, whatever that is, if you put in the time, you can find some really amazing stuff that no one else has done before.
I think that's something really important for everyone watching to take with them too. That what you guys do is so inspirational because it's simple but complex at the same time, and it's this perseverance. And if you have an idea, just explore with it and don't be afraid to fail, because you'll figure it out eventually. I really like that. And I also want to shout out that we have Carly Caprio is a teacher, and her entire 4th grade class is watching right now. So hello, entire 4th grade class. Welcome to Maker Connections. So you guys, I think you guys have
you guys do try this at home. Make your own stuff. We're really glad you're watching, but we want to see you do stuff too.
Yeah, that would be great. And if you do make something, just tag it with like the hashtag Maker Connections, so that way we can see it, put it somewhere, and then we'll check it out. That would be great. And then I think you guys had one more really cool thing you wanted to show off, right?
Yeah,
the blue tape.
Spiderweb illusion. So this is one of the experiments from How to Build a Hovercraft. It's how to build a spiderweb illusion, and we've actually set it up here in the door frame. Go ahead and set it down. All right. So for this illusion, it looks like we've got a spider web stretched across the door frame. And all you need to build this illusion is a bunch of masking tape. We use blue masking tape for this. And it looks just like a spider web.
Yeah.
Go up, and it's like, okay, there's the spider web stretched across the door frame. But
that's awesome.
actually, there.
So the truth is, most of it is actually here. This part of it is actually on the door, or the wall behind the opening. So this here is just tape on the flat wall behind it. But when you stand over there, where the camera was, these two pieces come together, and it makes that illusion look like a spiderweb across the doorway.
And one thing to notice is that you don't need to have a double door like we do.
Right.
To do this, you can do it with just a regular old single door. But it's helpful to have a wall right here or something that you can put the tape on. And we just have this because we like hiding behind it and poking out. I think that's an extra little bit of fun. But to show you a little bit, to go back, what you need for this is you need to set up a camera at just the right spot and leave it locked down. So we've marked exactly where this camera goes.
You can set it anywhere, but once you set it, that's the spot you need to view it from.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then you start by making this part of the spider web.
That's for real.
It's for real. And that you just want to make it look cool, make it look like a spider web. And then for the rest of it, it really helps to have two people.
Right.
So what we'll do is we'll say, okay, we'll take a piece of tape, and I'll look at the camera, and I'll just be like, okay, it needs to go up just a little bit, down just a little bit, and then tape it in place. And we're lining everything up so that it looks just right to the camera. And
That's awesome.
It's really, really simple. All you need is a roll of masking tape. Now, another thing to notice about this is that if we go back and look carefully see that it gets extra
This
pieces of tape.
They get wider and wider as they go back further.
Oh.
So this line here is about this wide here, and up here it's about half that wide. Because you want this to appear as it's getting further back, it needs to stay virtually the same size up there. So since this is further away from the spot we want you to think it's at, than that one is, it needs to be bigger and bigger.
Because it's farther away from the camera, we need more tape. It needs to be thicker so that it looks like the same amount of tape.
So this piece of tape here needs to look like it's the same size as this piece of tape in the center of the doorway. And since that's closer and this is farther away, you need to make this bigger so that it looks the same size when you set it in the right spot there.
Yeah, that's great. I actually wouldn't have thought of that right off the bat. So that's a really great tip.
As we're building it, and we realized, why does it not look quite right? They look a little skimpy in the middle there, and we realized what we just explained to you, so we made them thicker.
And so it takes about it took us about 45 minutes to put all of this together this morning, and it's great because all you need is a video camera, a roll of masking tape, and a little bit of patience. 45 minutes later, you can have your own spiderweb illusion.
A little bit of patience.
Awesome. Yeah, I would love to see the classrooms and everyone watching today. Just try this one and definitely share with us how it goes, and try different patterns too. All that would be so cool.
You can make any shape you want. We like the spiderweb because it's relatively simple and it's an image people are familiar with. And if you like what you got, you can paint this. You can stop using tape and just make these blue painted stripes or whatever you want, and it'll be permanently on your wall or on your door, and you'll never have to worry about it. This gets taken down from time to time. But someday we're going to just paint one on there, which you can do as well.
That's great. That would be so cool to have. I mean, who wouldn't want to just have that in their house all the time?
I'm surprised we haven't done it yet.
That's great. And I think we have the plans for that with the Maker Connections website somewhere on there too. You guys have shared that with us.
There should be a PDF from the How to Build a Hovercraft book that's shared on Maker Connection.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I cannot wait to see what people do with it. I think it'll be really cool. And we have so many great questions coming in, so I want to share some of those with you. Sam Reynolds, who is on it with the questions today, he wanted to know, how did EepyBird start? Like, how did you guys come up with everything? And
really, we started, we met, as Stephen said, at the performing arts school called Celebration Barn Theater. And we found that we had this common curiosity. So we started mucking around with things, but literally the first thing we did together was Coke and Mentos. Stephen came up to visit one time and said, "You heard something's supposed to happen when you've got Mentos into Coke."
I haven't tried it yet.
And so
we tried it, but I brought some. I didn't just say, "Have you heard about this?" I had Coke and Mentos in my hands when I had it.
And so I hope every single one of you has done, and if you haven't, you got to do it.
I actually haven't done it, so I need to. I'm so inspired now.
So we went out into the driveway dropped a handful of Mentos in this bottle of Coke and went, "Oh, whoa, this is really cool. We need to get more." And so that started us exploring over the next 6 months or so on weekends and whenever we could. We would keep experimenting and keep going. Well, what if we made holes like this, and what if we swung it around on strings?
We looked for every possible variation we could come up with because we knew whatever piece we were going to end up with, we really wanted to be able to be the masterpiece of Coke and Mentos, the biggest masterpiece you could possibly make. So every variation we came up with, we kept a notebook, we recorded it all, so we knew what all the different effects were that we came up with. And then eventually we put them together into the piece that went online.
6 months of that exploration, we were ready to make the video.
And it wasn't 6 months solid. I mean, I was practicing law. I'm a lawyer right now. I used to be a lawyer. So I was working in every day, Monday to Friday. I would come up on the weekends and we would drill more bottles with Coke and Mentos, and I'd go back to work and try more cases, and I'd come back up and make more soda. But it took overall about 6 months.
And then when we put that video online, it just took off, and now here we are, almost 8 years later, and we're still making new videos and going around to maker fairs all over the world and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's great, and that actually segues perfectly because I wanted to remind everyone that Maker Connections is involved. It's all about people who are going to be involved with Maker Faire. So I wanted to ask you, how are you involved with Maker Faire? What do you do? Are you going to be at Bay Area?
We are going to be at Bay Area. We have been at every single Bay Area Maker Faire except the first one.
Yep, we missed that.
But since 2007, and we have the best time ever. The first time we went, we made a mistake of having 2 shows on both days, which meant we couldn't see the show.
Yeah.
So never again have we let that happen. So now we do 2 shows on one day and 1 show on the other day.
So we still get to see a little bit of Maker Faire.
We need to see Maker Faire too. If we got that close and didn't see it, it would be a tragedy. So we try not to let that happen. But we will be there. We will be doing shows.
We have 2 shows on Saturday, 1 show on Sunday.
And it's the Coke and Mentos thing you've seen online, but it's way more fun. Like, you see how wet we get, and you hear all the spray going, and it's crazy fun.
Okay, I definitely cannot wait to see you there. Just look for the bright red hair in the audience.
We will, we will.
I'm excited. Okay, and I wanted to remind everyone that you can check out their book, How to Build a Hovercraft. It's so great. I mean, it's just a great wealth of knowledge and inspiration. And you can also find them on EepyBird.com. They have a YouTube page. I mean, they're everywhere, so definitely check them out. And I also wanted to challenge you guys watching to make something. I mean, play with Post-its, play with blue tape, come up with something great and share it, and use the hashtag MakerConnections so we can see what you're doing, because I want to be able to look from my computer and see your awesome talent. So I wanted to thank you guys. Thank you so much, Fritz and Steven. You're so fun and awesome, and this was really fun. So I'm so happy to have been able to see what you guys do.
Well, thanks,
Great.
and it's been great to talk with you and get all these questions, and we'll see you all at Maker Fair.
We'll see you all at Maker Fair.
Yeah, sounds good. I cannot wait to see the show. All right, thank you, everybody, and check out MakerConnections.com to see upcoming broadcasts, and make sure that you fill out the form there if you want your classroom to participate in the upcoming weeks, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye.